Welcome to Own Your Path, a virtual series brought to you by the Lindy III Foundation. We are so excited to have you all here as we connect with incredible Native professionals who have carved their own unique paths to success. Whether you're tuning in from your community, your home, or even from a classroom, we're grateful for your presence today. Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the Indigenous lands we're all joining from today. We encourage you and everyone to introduce themselves and take a second to recognize the Native nations whose lands you are on in the chat. The Own Your Path series is about celebrating unconventional journeys. We want Native youth to hear firsthand from professionals who've forged their own way, often overcoming challenges and defying expectations. Today, we are honored to welcome Eric Hernandez, an esteemed Native American hoop dancer who will be in conversation with our executive director, Lauren Waters. We'll hear about Eric's experiences, navigating expectations, choosing his own path, and how he uses art and culture to inspire the next generation. Stick around until the end as we'll have a live Q&A session, an interactive reflection activity, and ways for you to stay involved.
Before we get started, we wanted to share with you about our incredible speakers, Lauren and Eric. Lauren Waters is an award-winning Cherokee and Kiowa filmmaker and the executive director of the Lindy III Foundation. Named to the 2025 Forbes 30 Under 30 list, Lauren's creative work has been showcased at prestigious festivals such as the Sundance Film Festival and South by Southwest. Through her background in filmmaking and storytelling, Lauren amplifies Indigenous voices, inspires the next generation, and is passionate about serving Native youth. Eric Hernandez is a proud member of the Lumbee Tribe and is an esteemed Native American hoop dancer with over 20 years of experience. Mentored by Terry Godel, Eric's skills took center stage as the lead in Cirque du Soleil's Totem, touring over 17 countries. A recent TEDx speaker, his mission is to challenge stereotypes and spread ancestral wisdom about Native Americans through the art of hoop dance. Now, Eric brings his story to the screen as the writer and director of Courage, a powerful short film inspired by his real-life journey of learning hoop dance from his Uncle Terry. Courage is a tribute to the strength of cultural storytelling and the importance of reclaiming identity through tradition. It is our pleasure to introduce Lauren Waters and Eric Hernandez.
Yay. Thank you, Najoni and Anna.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to be in conversation with you, Eric. How's it going?
Good, good. Happy to be on here and happy to talk with you. I've been following your journey with Tiger and, since in Sundance and I don't know if you remember, but I think the first time we met was at the Autry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just saw you at India Market and now here we are. So happy to chop it up.
Awesome. Well, for everyone who doesn't know of Eric's story and his work, he's an incredible filmmaker, hoop dancer, and has been supportive of my work since we met not too long ago, and that has been really meaningful. And Eric, you're one of the kindest people in this industry, and the film industry in general there's a lot of things you have to navigate, and I'm just really proud of you and your film and seeing the success that it's had this year, and I'm excited to dive into that a little bit more. So we'll just go ahead and start off with a few questions that we have, and then we'll dive into some of our guests also entered in some questions for you before when they signed up for the event. So that'll be fun to chat about. But at the Lindy Waters III Foundation, we're really focused on Native youth and featuring folks that are an inspiration to Native youth and what they're doing and mentorship. And so I'm curious, what first drew you to hoop dancing and what role did your Uncle Terry play in guiding this path for you?
Yeah, it was actually when my parents had separated as when I was about 10 years old, and my uncle kind of stepped in as somewhat of a father figure, and he was coming around the house more often. If I ever got in trouble at school, my mom would make me call him and tell him what happened, and he kind of just stepped into that role, and he began to teach me how to hoop dance. He taught me and his son Michael, my cousin, and it just became something that we did together, something that we did on the weekends. You know, a lot of road trips came out of it, to going out to powwows and hoop dancing and going to different events. And at first, I wasn't really like crazy about it. I wasn't really interested as a young kid. It wasn't until a few years later that I began to find a love for the hoop dance. But yeah, he's played a huge role as a mentor in my life, and has helped guide me down, the right path, and helped me discover that path. So yeah,
It's really important to be able to have someone to look up to. And yeah, I
yes,
had some incredible family members, like my parents and other, people that played minor roles in my life for me to look up to. But in terms of like film, that wasn't really something that existed for me. I'm curious, did you have anybody that was doing film or someone that you were looking up to when you were young, or is this something that's kind of like a new thing for you?
yeah. So my father always had a camera in his hand. He was kind of a tech guy who just always wanted the next like VHS camera that came out back in the 90s. And to this day, I have, like, we just converted all those tapes into a hard drive. I have from the day I was born, I have my whole childhood, I have all my sports games. My dad was always filming us, was always putting us in camera and say like, "Oh, say that thing you said earlier, do that thing." And we were always in front of the camera, and then, he would hand the camera to us and we would film. So there always was a camera around. My brother, I have two older brothers. The brother that's just older than me, the middle brother, I'm the youngest, is also a filmmaker, mainly in the music video world. He's an incredible cinematographer, kind of a one-man show, goes and gets it all done, edits, shoots, produces, and I was really inspired by him as well. In my 20s and watching him do what he was doing. So I have had a bit of guidance as well with filmmaking. As far as making a narrative film and writing a script, that was something that I was the first one to really tap into in my family or with anybody that I knew, actually. So when it came to like cameras and equipment and kind of the logistics behind, editing and things like that, I had experience, but um, not too much with script writing and storytelling in that way. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a completely different world and it's really scary and vulnerable, especially when you're putting your own story out there. But I can definitely relate to my parents always having one of those like little cameras with the
right.
tapes. You got to
Yeah,
let me know how you got them all digitized to put on hard drives.
yeah,
Like after this, let me know. So I
okay,
need to
yeah.
do that.
Yep, you have to. It's so much easier than having boxes of tapes just on, having on a little drive, and it's protected. That's valuable.
Absolutely. And just talking about your story, I learned that you were performing at Cirque du Soleil, which I was like, whoa, that is absolutely crazy. And you were touring with Cirque du Soleil, and I'm just curious, one, how did that happen for you? And also, like, what is it like to be bringing a native art form to such a global spotlight?
Yeah, so it was 2012 when they called me. And I had, been dancing for over 10 years at that point. Um, and they had actually hired a different hoop dancer about 2 years before that named Nakota Lawrence. Um, if you've ever had an opportunity to see Nakota Lawrence, it's a special opportunity because he's not with us anymore. He's the goat. He's the goat of hoop dancing, and they called him. He was a good friend of mine. I grew up competing against him at the hoop dance competition, and one year he wasn't there, and we're like, "Where's Nakota?" And everybody's like, "Oh, he joined some circus show." And about, yeah, 2 years later, he ended up calling me and saying like, "Hey Eric, would you be willing to come and like replace me. It's 10 shows a week. It's a lot of work, and I just, I want to go back home. And I recommend, I recommended you as the hoop dancer to come in, and then Cirque du Soleil called me, and they said that they saw a video of me on YouTube, and Dakota recommended me, and I didn't have to audition. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to say yes. And I was in school at the time. I was actually on a scholarship at BYU in Utah. I was performing in a performing arts group out there. And when Cirque du Soleil called me, I really had a choice to make, between staying there with that opportunity, or running away with the circus. And I didn't know much about Cirque du Soleil at the time, funny enough. But after doing a bit of research and kind of understanding how great of an opportunity it was, I decided to leave school at that time, and they flew me out to the headquarters in Montreal, Canada, and it was like 20 below zero. My first day of work was January 1st, and being a California boy, I showed up there with like three hoodies like layered on, and I'm like just freezing. And yeah, that ended up being a 9-year run. We did a year. Our first year was all through America. Second year was in Australia. Third year was in we did 18 months in Japan. Then we went to Spain for a year, and we were in Germany when COVID hit, and that was the end of my time with Cirque when COVID hit. So it was an incredible experience. I learned so much. It was amazing to bring that tradition, the hoop dance on that major stage, and also collaborate with such a high level company as far as like live performances, and integrating all of their techniques and performance practices into the hoop dance, and kind of finding the middle ground. And it was a challenge. It was like I had to be open. I had to be really open to integrating new movements and stuff into this dance. And I would often call my uncle and be like, they want me to, do this, and they want me to only use 5 hoops, and they want me to, and it was a very interesting time, and it ended up being one of the most incredible experiences of my life. So it was incredible. Have you seen a Cirque du Soleil show before?
I have, but nothing
Okay.
like, I don't think it was nothing like that.
Okay.
My mom and we went to Vegas whenever my brother was playing in Summer League a few years
Yeah.
ago. And of course, and honestly, it might not have even been a Cirque du Soleil show. I'm like, I know that there was crazy acrobatics and all this stuff, but nothing with a hoop dancer in it. So that's really cool. And it's crazy to think that you traveled to so many countries and were there for long periods of time. And I'm sure that was a challenge in itself, like being away from home and, having to be on top of your game, performing every like 10 shows a week. That is wild. So
Yeah. I felt like it was like I was a professional athlete hoop dancer. Like we had physical therapists there. We traveled with 3 chefs. They had to make sure that we were healthy and that we were able to do those shows like night after night. And it was rigorous for sure. But being somebody who wanted to pursue sports originally, and then kind of ending up in that setting as a hoop dancer, I was like, okay, I kind of like found my own unique way of like being a professional, somebody who's working with their body and being on stage. And it was a cool blend of what I wanted earlier in my life, and kind of what I wasn't really able to achieve the accolades I wanted in sports. Um, but as I focused on hoop dancing, I eventually was able to, arrive at a place where I was fulfilled with, what I wanted to do. So, yeah.
yeah. And, in a way, sports, I think about Lindy, my brother, he plays for the San Antonio Spurs, for those of you who don't know. It almost is like a performance. I mean, it is like you're on all the time. You're caring for your body. It's also a mental game. And I think I can see this being, exactly that in a lot of ways. It's not necessarily a sport per se, but it is a sport in the sense that you're having to keep your body up to, you know, the
Yeah,
being super fit for 10 shows a week. Like that's, more NBA games than they have a week. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. And
but yeah,
you're an athlete as well?
I was an athlete. I mean, I still have like some of those habits that I formed as a, young person, but I played volleyball in high school and before that, and I have a deep love for that sport. And honestly, it was like I tried basketball and I sat on the bench and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is my sport. And then my brother he's about 2 years younger than me, coming up right after me. So I was like, I'll just let dad and him have that. And I'm gonna go like do my own thing. And so, but there's so much value in learning how to play with a team and having a schedule and keeping your body in shape. And yeah, I really enjoyed that time period. And one of the things that you mentioned, you were saying that you're California boy and you were like experiencing the cold and when you went to perform. And so you grew up in LA, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's home to one of the largest native populations in an urban setting. And so how did being an urban native shape your identity and your art?
Oh, great question. How did being an urban native shape my identity and my art? I don't even, I grew up mainly around Mexican people in Los Angeles. I didn't start to be around this many natives in LA until later on. We would always go and dance, morongo, pachanga, and San Manuel and Paula, and we would always go and dance at these events, but I didn't grow up around many other natives at all. My dad is my Mexican side, and he's the reason we ended up out here and grew up in LA. Um, eh, I think that I I still don't. I'm still finding out what it is to be an urban native. My identity through my native culture has been through the hoop dance and my experiences going and uh, sharing the dance in other communities and learning from my uncle. Um, as far as like navigating my life in the city as a native, I find myself constantly seeking for other natives and other communities to be involved with here. Um, but yeah, I mean that's a great question. I need to marinate on that one even longer.
For sure. And I think, for me, I grew up in Oklahoma, and sometimes it's even hard to imagine, like, think about my own experiences and how it might be different from an urban native experience. I mean, we definitely were in, big towns or smaller cities, but I think imagining being in a place like LA, a mega city, seems very different for someone like me. And so, I guess if you'd want to add um, what would you want people to understand about like the realities of Native people in urban communities, but also like the strengths of Native people in urban communities? And at least what I've seen, even from spending some time in the Bay when Lindy was in the Bay, a lot of um, natives were lived there because of the Relocation Act in the 50s. Um, and for those of you who don't know, it was a governmental act that was put into place to get natives to move away from the reservation and providing them jobs in cities, and a lot of them ended up in San Francisco. But what I've noticed is that so many natives come together still from so many different tribes and backgrounds and find community with each other in those cities. And it's a very supportive, it seems very supportive, and so I didn't know if you had experienced that in LA maybe recently, or if there's any like downsides or strengths to, Native people living in the city.
Yeah, I think growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up, I just was just often like misunderstood, not really respected for my culture. None of the kids felt like it was inappropriate to like, you know, just mock my culture and kind of play into the stereotypes that non-natives play into sometimes, and it took a lot of strength to you want to like fit in and laugh along with it, but like that's messed up for them to say that or whatever. And I just found myself a lot of times growing up like I I don't know how I'm ever gonna like find a way to like create a new image in my peers' minds of like, a real native and what it means to be native. And just the typical, just kind of the typical issues. I think that's what a lot of urban natives deal with, especially in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I think. And yeah, I think that and that's where a lot of my story stems from, and why it was so scary for me to go in front of my whole school and hoop dance, which is this, what my story of my film is based off, me dancing in front of my whole school. It was just so scary because it natives were just so characterized where I grew up, and it wasn't like even something that was even real. It wasn't even something that people were like, wait, oh, you're native? Okay, yeah, you're native. All right. And it's like, it just was one of those things. And just so, to answer your question, I think the experience is an experience of being misunderstood.
Yeah, that's tough. And I think unfortunately in cities and in not in cities, that's a common experience that we can all share. A lot of experiences that I've had too. It's just not really people not really understanding, and that coming from a disconnect in what they're taught growing up.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to move on to some of our audience Q&A questions, and then we'll dive into a few questions about Courage, the film. So some of these pre-submitted questions I think are really great and kind of talk to you more personally. So what are some things that you do for self-care, like to de-stress, re-energize, or have fun? Like, what are some things that kind of take you to that place where you're feeling good again?
Yeah. I love to work out. I love fitness. I love going for runs, love going for walks, loves going for hikes, love going to the gym, love playing basketball. I love to create. I love to I love to find different things, from video editing, if even if it's content for social media, or it's even just creating a video for a friend's wedding coming up, and it's a collage. I enjoy creating. I enjoy creating things that make people happy. Um, I let's see when I wake up first thing in the morning, first of all, I try to stay away from my phone for like at least an hour. I like to have my morning to me. I don't let the world in yet. I like to hydrate, get my water, and I like to I love my first hour of the day of just taking my breaths, feeling my body, stretching, getting the blood flow, and then it's like, okay, let's start the day. So that first hour of the day, I think, the morning, if you can win the morning, you can win the day. If you can win the day, you can win the week. And I kind of try to live by that.
Are you a morning person?
I'm trying to become more of one. Yeah, that's like one of my biggest goals. I feel like if I could get up at 5 a.m., I just think I could get so much more done. Right now, I'm fighting to get up at like 7:30. Sometimes I'll snooze till 8.
Hey,
But
hey, that's early for me.
is
So
it?
yeah,
Is it?
I'm definitely like a night person. I just
Okay.
gravitate towards the evening time. I love getting my stuff done in the evening. So it's just, I don't know. I think I beg to differ on being more productive. I think it's just finding what
Okay.
feels good for you, and I think morning people often get that, oh, I'm more productive. Early bird gets the worm, but I'm like, I don't know. It's worked
Yeah.
for me so far, but yeah, no, totally.
One of my mentors in the with the film was is Stephen Paul Judd, and he's one of those people. He doesn't start working until 2 a.m.
Oh my
Like
God.
those hours for him are the precious, just creative hours where the rest of the world is asleep. and he just loves working at that time. And I'm like, I feel that. I just, you
Not for
know,
everyone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, someone asked too, how can we learn from Eric on his hoop dancing skills? Like, do you have clips? Like, I'm sure people could probably look up stuff on YouTube. I think I saw someone earlier, Jaden in the chat said they loved watching your Cirque du Soleil clips on YouTube. But yeah, just curious if there's anything out there where people can learn from you.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you see me in person at a powwow or at the hoop dance competition or at an event, I'm always happy to teach you in person right there. I don't have anything online where I'm like giving a tutorial of teaching. Here in LA, I partnered with UAII and we do drum and dance workshops every Wednesday. If you're in Los Angeles, you can come and I teach hoop dancing in those. I think we're getting started in October again this year. But yeah, if you ever see me in person, do not be shy and come up to me, and I would love to teach you hoop dancing. And also, yeah, if you can watch the videos and you could follow along that way, also. That's a good way to learn too. You kind of have to know some of the basics first, and then you could pick up some of those moves in my videos. But yeah, I think there's one girl who posted some hoop dance videos online teaching hoop dance. So you can find some of those beginner lessons. I forget her name.
Awesome. Well, also, we have another question from Jaden in the chat, and Jaden's asking, coming from another hoop dancer, how do you prepare for a big performance? I performed for a WNBA halftime show, Cheyenne Frontier Days, and a men's D1 basketball game. So it sounds like they've had some experience, and maybe you have some
Wow.
tips on how to, because you've had so many big performances.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Um, I I warm up physically. I warm up my body. I jump up and down. I feel the hoops. I kind of wake up my fingers, and I always toss the hoop behind my back. I'm obsessed with throwing the hoop from one hand behind my back to the other. I do that like 100 times. I do it without looking. Um, I pass the hoop through my body. I put it under the leg and over my head, and I just get my body moving. I take big breaths. I say a prayer always before I dance. I ask that uh, the audience watching me is able to receive this dance in the best way. The hoop dance was originally a healing ceremony as well, so I just ask that I'm able to carry that intention, carry the responsibility also of sharing that dance. It's a big responsibility to be a hoop dancer, and we have a lot of power and a lot of opportunity as hoop dancers to have an impact on people. So I try to understand that and hone that in and understand how important the moment is that I'm about to step into and dance and share with people. So I just like to come into that present moment, try to get out of my head of being nervous, try to just shut down my brain and be present. And it does take years to do that because it can be nervous getting in front of people. And sometimes you can also hone those nerves and use them to your advantage and just dance real hard.
Those are some great tips. I still get nervous before like any speaking engagement, anything, but I think it's just a sign of that I care, even just a little bit of how things will go. But I think having rituals and things that keep you grounded is really important, that you can always go back to. And so I want to chat about courage a little bit, and then we'll watch the trailer here shortly.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. There's a couple questions that I have just about what it was like bringing your story to the screen, but also like what was it like actually making the thing? Like, what was that process like? And how did you get to this point where you're like, I don't know how to do this. I haven't had any mentors that have done this necessarily, but like I'm gonna do this. Like that does in itself, I think, take a lot of courage.
Yeah. Um, Writing the script was very difficult. I got advice from SPJ as well as a friend, Kenneth Shirley, to read the book Save the Cat. I read the book Save the Cat. It's mainly for feature films, 3 act structure. But I kind of found a way to apply that to my story. And I sat and I wrote the short film, probably did 100 different drafts of it. And then I needed to find funding. I needed to find money. And I began to ask around, and nobody wanted to give me money. Nobody wanted to give this first time filmmaker, money to go make a film. So I decided that I would crowdfund it. And wanted to utilize social media and utilize this platform called Seed and Spark, which is kind of like Kickstarter for films. So I managed to raise a bit of money on there. And then once I had the money, I was like, okay, I got to find a team, and I actually reached out to Robert at that moment. And he was busy with some other projects at the time, but I,
Mario, you worked with Mario and he's amazing too.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard you guys met. He told me that you guys all met. So
Yes.
Mario had been working with my brother, and I didn't even know that. Him and my brother have been working together for the last 10 years. So he's been my brother's DP on a lot of projects, and my brother introduced us, and it ended up being a great fit. I was able to lean on him for so much. I actually had a team around me that eventually developed a lot through Mario bringing his guys, as well as finding different mentors. I was able to really lean on a lot of people for support and for direction. And however, being the person who has the idea and the person who wants to get it done, I still had to be the one pushing the needle and creating deadlines and making it happen. And that role, I knew I had to take on that role. Like, as much support and guidance and all this, like, you still have to be that one to say, like, are you free this day? Are you free? Are you free? Okay, we're doing it here. Okay, we're filming here and here. I probably called about 100 different schools because we needed a school location. I had to find locations and this and that. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But
So you did a
but
lot of producing too. Producing
oh,
part of your, yeah, for people
yeah,
who don't know, it's like
I
producing's like logistics.
oh my goodness. I produced it. I produced the whole thing. Yeah. And yep, from spreadsheets and budgets and all that. I had some help. But yeah, I mean, shoot, ask me specific questions like pre-production, production, post. What do you want to know?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
could
it's
talk, I could talk all day.
totally. And I think, it's just interesting it's really just about putting yourself out there and you're obviously, I think, very good at that, being brave to do it. And I think that's what stops everyone from going out and achieving what they really want to do is the fear. And when
Yeah,
people ask me like, what's your biggest advice for filmmakers? I'm like, just go do it. Like, I know that it's scary and I know that it's hard and fundraising is difficult too. And a lot of times I will take on extra work so that I can use that money to make my films because yeah, like people aren't going to believe in your work until you have work. But then it's like, how do you make work if people aren't going to believe in it? So
yeah.
it's betting on yourself. And I think the story of courage is so beautiful. So what made you want to bring such a personal story to the screen?
Yeah, well, as a hoop dancer and going around and dancing and sharing my story, and then getting the opportunity to do a TEDx talk, and then kind of getting, and sharing that other places, I realized that this story that I'm telling, which is my story, is resonating with people, and people, are being impacted by it. And as a passionate person who, filmmaker, I was like, I want to turn the story into a film, and I want to reach even more people. And I think that if I understand the story arc of this and it's working as I'm on stage and I'm delivering this story and it's resonating, I think I can translate that to the screen, and I think that I can create that same emotion within people. And I knew that I had I knew that I had something special, um, just by understanding those important moments within my life and in my story. And I think that everybody as individuals to kind of look at your life and look at the decisions that have been made, look at kind of those different paths that you've taken and the paths you could have taken, and understanding those moments that changed everything for you. Um, Understanding and breaking down your own story is just an incredible, fulfilling thing to do. Um, I enjoyed it so much, I turned it into a talk. And then I enjoyed it so much, I turned it into the film. And I I don't really it's the story that I know how to tell the best. And I think that for anybody aspiring to get into any form of storytelling or speaking, I mean, start with understanding yourself. And when it comes to the team building, a lot of people ask me, how did you find these people for the film, and how did it end up, it's your first film, and how did it I think that I was trying so hard at first to find people to join, and I switched my focus to just honing the story and building the product and showing people how much I believe it. And then people started to gravitate towards me and say, "Hey, can I be involved? Can I be involved?" And that's how I built my team, not from searching, but from them kind of seeing that there was something special happening here. And that one action just taught me so much about more than filmmaking, more than speaking engagements or whatever. It taught me that when you're focused on just developing what you believe in and believe in it. When I was with Cirque du Soleil, they always used to tell us, if you believe what you're doing, the whole audience is going to believe what you're doing. So if you make a mistake, if you drop a hoop, don't like get all awkward and be like, "Oh my gosh." Like, drop the
Act like
hoop.
you were meant to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Go over there, pick the hoop back up, and the audience is going to be like, "Whoa, he doesn't even care that he dropped." You
Or
know?
they might be like, wow, that was a great trick.
Yeah,
And
right?
not even
Right?
realize it's a mistake.
And then the putting yourself out there, you mentioned that. I had that conversation actually this morning with my fiance, Piet. She got asked to be on a cooking show. Um, I probably shouldn't even be sharing this, but she was debating whether she wanted to do it or not. And it's kind of a fear thing, and it's like I told her, I think you should do it. I think you should go and do it. And we always question ourselves. And every time I want to make an Instagram video, every time I film myself talking um, on camera and telling people to come to a screening or to invite them somewhere, I'm always hesitant and it's always scary. But I think that every single person as individuals is more worried about themselves than they are like about you and
Oh yeah,
judging and judging
exactly.
and judging you. And we just have to like get over ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's what I think too. I'm like, okay, nobody's even thinking about me.
yeah,
I'm doing what I'm wearing. They're so worried about themselves. So it's just like freeing in a way.
freeing. Yeah.
And for people who don't know, Chef Piet is an incredible chef. I saw that you all are also doing, or maybe Chef Piet's also doing like a YouTube, more
Yeah.
YouTube videos, which is so fun.
We just finished filming, so I'm helping her out with that. We turned our backyard into like her set, so we're like starting off a YouTube channel and stuff, and it feels good to like be embarking on a new project as well, and like filming and directing it and like stuff like that. So it's yeah, coming soon. Piet's
Cool.
plate.
Piet's Plate. Can't wait to tune in on YouTube. And we
Yeah.
hope to have Piet on Own Your Path in the future. I want to ask her all about her incredible journey as well.
Awesome.
I think right now we're going to show the trailer.
Okay.
So, Najoni or Leanna, if you want to guide us through this experience here, we'll show everyone the trailer, and then we'll have an interactive activity with everybody talking about, about the trailer. So.
Awesome. Do we have volume? Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it this time, Najoni, but I was hearing it earlier. Oh, we love tech.
Right.
Sorry about that. Maybe I have to be off mute. Let's try it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, your starting forward, my son, Eric Hernandez.
I don't know if I made the team.
You're Hernandez, huh? Of course you made the team.
What matters is that you did your best at trials. Did you do your best?
I think you're focusing on the wrong hoop.
It would be great for this whole to witness this other part of you that they haven't seen yet. Let me say, this is right. Can you come over?
I love the line where he says, I think you're focusing on the wrong hoop. I'm like, oh, that's clever. I like that line.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the trailer in the chat too for anybody that wants to watch it again. And whenever I watched this film at the end with the music, I had chills. Like it was just really powerful. And I saw that the music, is it now live on Spotify and things?
Yes, yes. So Abraham Thomas is the voice that you hear towards the end of the film. He did the soundtrack, and then the score for the film was done by Genevieve Gross Luis, and yeah, so she's the classical violinist, and she composed the music, and that's also available on Spotify.
So cool. And I think one reason why I love film is that there's so many art forms coming together. Like you have the visuals, you have the acting, you have the music, and man, it's just there's so many people that have to be on their A game to bring this to life, which is, without
Yes.
your team, it's so important as a director to have really good collaborators and people that believe in you and bringing, it's not just the director that can bring a good story to life. And even though
Yeah.
they get a lot of the credit, I'm just like, I always try to push credit to the team too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, the stars have to align perfectly for it to come out the way that it does. There's a million different choices that you could have made, and it could have been completely different. And yeah, that was one of my favorite parts about filmmaking is just how collaborative it is, and it depends on so many people. And the music was a huge part. I actually got asked today for like a logistic question about the film. They said how much music is in your film? And the film's 15 minutes. There's 10 minutes of music. So, 2/3 of the film is has music. And I did envision it like that as well. I wanted it to be very, emotionally led with music.
And then it's learning how to communicate with a composer and
Oh
all
my
that
gosh.
stuff that I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I don't know instruments, but this is how I want it to feel. And you made it feel very powerful. But
Yeah.
so we just watched the trailer and the story about choosing what you love between, this character, Eric, is wanting to make the basketball team but also, really enjoys hoop dancing. And there's a conflict for him on the same day at school, whether he's going to retry out for the basketball team under the pressure of his dad, or if he's going to perform for the whole school as a hoop dancer and, really putting himself out there. So for everyone here, we want to do a quick activity. We're just going to take 1 minute to think about what is something you love, something that makes you feel the most yourself, and what's one small step that you can take to keep doing that, to nurture it, or to share it with others. So I'll also put this in the chat for everybody. So we'll take just 1 minute to think about something you love, and how you can make one small step to keep doing that. Then afterwards, please share your answer in the chat and we will go over it together. And I'm also kind of thinking what this is for myself.
That's fun.
It could be art, it could be sports, storytelling, being in your community, or something simple like spending time in nature. There's no wrong answer, it's just what's true to you. We have someone that says incredible trailer, can't wait to see the film. Jaden, I always get inspired and proud to be a hoop dancer. I'm still waiting to see the movie. Joni says, I love my family and I'm still not going to be telling our family story, not going to stop telling our family stories and laughing.
Yes.
Something I love, I think for me, especially as a Native person, every year we have Cherokee holiday and it's on Labor Day weekend. And a lot of my family will go out to the stomp grounds, which is our ceremonial grounds, and we dance. We have our stomp dance, which is very different than any powwow dances. And it's very private, but and that's where I dance. And I'm like, I never want to dance like in front of people like you do, Eric. But I like that I can dance with, my Cherokee people and enjoying the songs and family and just being together. And that's definitely something that grounds me and makes me feel like myself and makes me want to get out there more.
Awesome. I love that. Let's see. My children make me feel like myself. I'd like to be more intentional to be as involved with them as I can be.
So in the film, when you're talking about, the dad character, was that kind of accurate to your real life experience, like feeling pressure to play basketball?
Yeah. Yeah. So my dad was a professional football player. And he's kind of one of those fathers who he's kind of living in his still living like in his glory days, and I just always is talking about his time, which I love hearing his stories. I always have loved hearing the stories. However, he's wanted that for us as well, and I wanted that. And when it didn't happen, I it was almost like, okay, I could deal with it, but I'm scared of what he's gonna think. And also, my two older brothers were incredible athletes, incredible basketball players, played college basketball, and just took after him, And it was me who was like the odd one out, and it just was. I felt a lot of pressure from that, and the hoop dance was finally something that allowed me to like shine. And I think we all have those moments in our life where we may be chasing the wrong things, and when you find the right one, it's kind of just natural and you realize that. And but yeah, my father was a bit harsh. Now, as he's a bit older, he, is more understanding. He's an incredible guy. I don't want anybody to get that wrong. My
Yeah.
dad's yeah, he's a great guy. He's a funny guy. He's one of the funnest guys to hang out with. I love him very much, and he's very proud of me. He loved the movie. Um,
That's
but
good. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's like, parents are also just doing their best a lot of the time, and for him as like his version of the best, because that's what he knew. But
yes,
you had the courage to tell your own and go your own way, and I really admire that. And we have a few more in the chat too. Bobby Nez, I think Cooper the Hooper.
yes.
Um, I love hoop dancing and sharing my culture. One step I can take is being healthy, eating good, exercising, strengthening my body and soul. Yeah, I'm sure that's essential for being a hoop dancer, like we talked about.
Wait, how did you know Cooper the Hooper?
Because he put it in the chat.
Oh, okay, okay. Cooper the Hooper. We danced together a few times actually in Portland.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a great little hoop dancer.
He's here tuning in. Sammy said, I just went on vacation with my dearest friends and realized that being with them and laughing made me feel so much of myself, making it a point to see them more than just once a year. Yeah, that definitely being with friends, laughing is definitely healing. Uh, Definitely something that we should try to prioritize more often. Let's see. From Dakota, I love to hoop dance and play soccer, so I'll practice every day to make sure I don't lose what I've learned.
Yes. And one will help you be better at the other. They'll complement each other.
Jaden put a long comment in the chat, but um, shared some about his hoop dancing. And one thing I was told about the hoop dancer is that you always dance with a positive mind so the people watching you can feel that energy and view it the right way.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
I agree with that. We're taught that too when we dance in our stomp dances, having a good mental space because your energy goes out into the world and into, other worlds. And we want to make sure that we're keeping it positive and putting that good energy out there. Well, thanks everyone for participating in that fun exercise. Oh, we have one more. I love performing theater and influencing people to chase their dreams, especially youth. A small step would be to stay consistent. That's awesome. And theater sometimes leads into acting, like in films. I know a lot of theater people who have started acting on film, so that's a potential future.
Yeah.
I think something for me, when you talked about volleyball, my little sister lives with me part-time when she works on films up in Tulsa with me. And we started doing beach volleyball on some of the weekends. And we both played volleyball in high school. And it just feels good to like get back out there and move your body in a way that you don't do that often. And you kind of like fall back into the flow and you're like, your body remembers like how to do things. I'm like, I seriously haven't played volleyball in 10 years and I can still do it, which is just wild, like what your body can and what your mind can do. And it feels really good. And so we just need to make it more of a priority to get out there and keep playing it. Um,
Yeah. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Right? I know
Definitely.
when I go grab a basketball and I'm like it's just the shot's not feeling right. I'm like, "Oh man, I need to get it. I need to get it back." And yeah. And anything. I even used to skateboard as a kid and I always like to make sure I could like still ollie. I like to make sure I can still do my ollie and like yeah, a lot of things like that.
Yeah, that's
Use it or lose it.
skateboarding scares me. Yeah. Yeah,
Skateboard.
use it or lose it. Well, we're coming up on our time here. We have about 5 minutes left. Um, let's see. Any closing questions? Someone asked, is hoop dancing something that other cultures do as well outside Turtle Island? Do you know about that, Eric?
Yeah, the answer is no. No, it's just tribes in Turtle Island. Yeah.
So it is like a very unique and special dance for,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. For young people who feel like they may be torn between outside expectations and what they truly love, what advice would you share? And I think we kind of, talked about even like that expectation maybe from a parent or from, other people in their lives. Um, I mean, we kind of mentioned a few things, but if there's anything else you'd want to share on someone who might be making that hard decision, what would you say?
Yeah, I think finding moments of stillness, kind of like what I mentioned earlier about, starting your day kind of with, quieting out everything and I think in those moments of stillness when we're able to just get away from everything, and whether it's closing our eyes or breathing or praying, I think we can find a lot of answers in those moments. And when we're going through those kind of hard times, I think that's that's the best tool, to gather yourself, center yourself, step away from what you're doing. Even a lot of times when I'm working and I'm doing emails and I'm overwhelmed, I just step away for a second, gather myself, take a breath, and then I feel energized to get back. I feel like I'm able to overcome that all that craziness that's going on inside my mind, and I'm able to understand, okay, I need to go this way. So find those moments of stillness and reflect, and it can help you understand what the right choice may be.
I totally agree. And I think with that skill set, being, silent with yourself and sitting with your thoughts, I think really tuning into that gut feeling is something that I try to do in that moment as well. Is like, what am I feeling internally about this decision? What's in my gut that I need to really listen to? And most of the time, like, your gut intuition is going to be the way to go. So yeah, and that's really, really important. So,
Yeah.
well, any last closing thoughts you want to share, Eric?
Well, first of all, just thank you for having me on here, and this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you got to watch the film. Thank you for your questions. It's so flattering as a filmmaker just to have questions about the film and know that somebody has watched it and has dissected it and has certain questions about the meanings. That is, like, for me, the most flattering thing as a filmmaker, to be asked questions about it. So thank you for this platform. Um, and also congratulations to you, and all of your success with your film. And I feel honored to be here having this discussion with you on your platform. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric. I truly believe that, what is it, the rising tides lifts all boats, and I'm
Yeah.
here to support you and other filmmakers, trying to make their projects, but also just people who, want to find their path. And I think that that's where this is born out of, is I think that these conversations are really inspiring for people just trying to figure out, what their next step is, what they want to do. And your story has touched so many folks, and really an honor to have you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll have the recording on our YouTube later this week, which is Lindy Waters the Third Foundation. And yeah, let's see. Any last thoughts? Anything I'm missing? We'd love to hear some of your feedback about the session. So you'll get a prompt after the Zoom to take a quick survey to tell us about who you might want to hear from next, or what you would like to still hear from Eric about. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you, Eric, again. This was
Awesome.
really fun. Thank you to the team, Leanna, Najoni, and Lisa, for putting this all together. And we'll see you for the next one.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.